Good day, I am Anjanette Cáceres from 3B BSc Filipino. The two persons that was assigned to me are George Gordon Byron and Albert Camus. First is George Gordon Byron, also known as Lord Byron, one of the major English romantic poet Byron, as satirist and as a creator of romantic figure, the Byron hero, and also had a significant impact on 19th century European culture. Biography of Lord Byron. Early life. George Gordon Byron was born in London, England, January 22, 1788. He is well known as Lord Byron or the 6th Baron Byron. He was an intelligent child of John Byron or Mad Jack, a British Army officer, while his mother, Catherine Gordon, was a ruined Scot heiress. Catherine was the second wife of John Byron. Lord Byron had a traumatic childhood, partly because of the fierce temper and insensitivity of his mother Catherine, and partly because of his clubbed right foot. His father left him in 1791, while his mother left the world in 1811. Education. Lord Byron's mother took him to Aberdeenshire, England. There he attended Aberdeen Grammar School at the school of Dr. William Glennie in Dulwich. He was treated with extra care at school because of his clubbed foot. However, due to the mistreatment of his mother coupled with her uneven temper, he lacked manners and discipline in his early years. Later, between 1801 and 1805, he attended Harrow School in London, followed by Trinity College, Cambridge. It was during that time he started documenting his literary ideas on papers. At that years, he got engaged in gambling, boxing, horse riding, and sexual escapades. During that time, moreover, during his stay at Cambridge, he developed a lifelong friendship with John Comp Hobhouse, a political figure, and Francis Hudson, who later guided him in literary and other matters of his life. Married life and tragedy. Lord Byron is a prolific literary figure. Sadly, his life is marred by a series of love affairs, including Lady Oxford and Lady Caroline Lamb. He got a secret relationship with his half-sister Augusta, who turned him down by marrying Colonel George Leigh. To distract himself, he developed an illegitimate relationship with Lady Frances Webster. He recorded his unsuccessful love affair in his dark poem, The Giaour, Lara, The Bridge of Abydos, and The Corsair. However, in January 1815, he married Anne Isabel Milbanke, and their daughter, Ada Lovelace, was born in the same year. Unfortunately, after a year, Isabel left him because he suspected love affair with his half-sister. After this tragic end of their marriage in April 1816, he left England for good. That Lord Byron, one of the great poets, died because of illness in Missolonghi, Greece, April 19, 1824, where he had traveled to support Grecian in their fight for independence from Turk. His body was sent to England, but the clergy refused to give him space at Westminster Abbey. Therefore, his remains were buried in near Newstead in a family vault. Some important facts of his life. First is, at the age of 17, he secured a reputable seat in the House of the Lord. Second, he led a troubled childhood because of his schizophrenic mother and clubbed foot. And third, his famous piece included She Walks in Beauty, The Curse of Minerva, and When We Two Parted. Last, he played an active role in Greek War in Independence. His career. Lord Byron is considered as one of the most controversial yet leading figure of Romantic movement in Europe. He started writing at the early age but did not publish his pieces. However, in 1806, he started gathering his poem and published the first volume of his collection privately, which got full reception. Later, in 1807, he published Hours of Illness, followed by English bards and Scotch reviewers. This publication brought him into the limelight, and he became known among the literary circle of that time. Moreover, his friendship with John Combe Hobhouse further accelerated his literary career. Together they flew to Greece, Turkey, Malta, Albania, Portugal. It was during that time he started working on his epic poem Childe Harold Pilgrimage, which hit the shelves in 1811. Later, in 1816, he traveled to Geneva and Switzerland with Shelley and Mary Godwin. Also, he completed the third canto of his poem Childe Harold Pilgrimage during this time. Besides poetry, he edited the Carbonari newspaper, The Liberal. Lord Byron's famous work. Best poem. Lord Byron is a great English poet. Some of his popular poems include She Walks in Beauty, The Darkness. It was published in July 1816. The theme is on apocalyptic end of the world. Next is There Be None Beauty's Daughter, a lyrical poem. Third is The Eve of Waterloo. It was part of a long narrative poem in Childe Harold Pilgrimage, and it was published during June 16, 1815. Last is And Thou Art Dead as Young and Fair. Other works beside poetry, he tried his hand on the tragedy verse. From some of them include The Two Foscari, a historical tragedy, Sardanapalus, Marino Paliero, and Prophecy of Dante. This is some of the example of his famous works. She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. She walks in beauty by Lord Byron. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry sky, and all that west of darks and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellow to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half inferred the nameless grace, which wave in every raven tress, or softly lightens over her face, where thoughts sincerely sweet express, how pure, how dear their dwelling place, and on that cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent, the smile that twin, the tints that glow, but tells all days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, heart whose love is innocent. She Walks in Beauty by Byron was published in 1815. The poem phrases and seeks to capture and sense of the beauty of particular woman. She Walks in Beauty is a lyrical rhyming poem that focuses on female beauty and explores the idea that physical appearance depends upon inner goodness, and if in harmony can result in the romantic ideal of aesthetic perfection. The second is Albert Camus. Albert Camus, a major force in France's intellectual life in the middle of 20th century, especially among those associated with existentialism. Camus was a leading novelist, a short story writer, a philosopher, and a playwright. Albert Camus' background. Albert Camus was born in Mondovi, Algeria, November 7, 1913. Died in Niergens, France, January 4, 1960. Raised by mother in Algiers, a good student, entered secondary school in 1923, passed lice exam, accepted into Universities of Algiers, School of Philosophy, master degree 1936. His first trip to Europe was in 1936 and his first book is Collection of Essay 1937. Education. Albert Camus was an excellent student. Attend elementary at the local École Communale, encountered series of teachers mentor. He was tortured by Louis Germain at the local school. In 1923, he passed the trans exam with a scholarship, attended high school at Grand Lycée. Vivid reader, learned Latin and English, and developed interest in literature, art and theater and film. Got accepted in Universities of Algiers School of Philosophy, but Albert Camus need to leave because of her sickness, tuberculosis. He continued his education in 1930 and worked odd jobs to help pay for school. Death. Albert died on January 4, 1960. He was killed in a car accident along with his publisher Michael Gallimard. He was originally supposed to travel with his family by the train, although last minute he unexpectedly accepted Michael's offer to drive. The sudden death of such a famous writer brought much speculation to the matter. Later, a theory emerged that his death was no accident. It was thought that there was no Soviet involvement and that Albert was a hit performed by the KGB due to his disrespect shown toward the Soviet Union. However, this accusation was dismissed, being seen as not credible by Oliver Todd, and all suspicions were later forgotten. These are some accomplishments of Albert Camus. In 1937, he published his first book collection of his essay called L'Envers et l'Endroit. It means the wrong side and the right side. It is a non-fiction stories. Second, the 1935 to 1939, Camus along with his group founded the Théâtre des Écueils or the Workers' Trade, wrote collective play called Revolte dans les Asturias, first experiencing of writing of theatre. Revolte dans les Asturias means revolt in Asturias. It is a theatrical play and it described the workers' uprising of 1934 in Austrian. Third, 1942, he wrote The Stranger and The Myth of Symphosis, both consisting of elements of absurdism. The Myth of Symphosis is a 1942 philosophical essay. As I research absurdism, it refers to the conflict between human tendency to seek inherent value and meaning in life, to find a purposeless, meaningless, and chaotic and patient. And absurdism, it shares some concept and common theatrical template. Next is 1944, Cross Purpose and Caligula. Last, 1942, The Flague, about the absurdity of social and cultural orthodoxies. 1951, he published El Homme Revolte or the Rebel after recover from tuberculosis in 1949.